Hello, and welcome to today's NinjaTrader ecosystem event, Entry Signals Generator, with Steve Tremper of Tremper.com. My name is Chris, and I'm a platform representative at NinjaTrader. Before we start the webinar, I have a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader software. Brokerage-related questions should be directed to NinjaTrader Brokerage using the phone number or email on the screen. Lastly, if you are new to NinjaTrader, please make sure you sign up for your free NinjaTrader demo with real-time market data. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. You could get your free demo account by following the link on the screen. Before I turn the mic over to Steve, it is important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and option trading contain substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Also, please remember that these training sessions are not a solicitation or a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Thanks again for joining us today. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader room, Steve.
Hi, Chris. Okay, so basically, just thanks again for having me on here and giving me the opportunity to explain what they are. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what are the entry signals and the indicator settings, go over a couple of required settings and some optional things that you could do in there if you want to play around with it. And then individual settings that you could use for your ATM, your trade management, and then there's some internal stop management if you want to go that way too. And then I'll talk about where you can find the generator, and then any cost, and then we'll go through questions. And if anybody has any questions, I'll try my hardest to look at the chat, but sometimes I get involved and I miss some. So anyway, about me, my name's Steven, technically Steve Tremper. Basically, I've been in the fire service for 40 plus years, and I retired a couple years ago. I started learning futures and whatnot on my off days at the firehouse, and then I did some options and forex and failed and all that, and then ultimately ended up in the futures, which is by far the way to go. In any event, so now I just trade futures and that's it, but I don't certainly want to come across as an expert, or I've seen other people presenting and whatnot, and I'm just a trader, just trading by myself in my own place and my own desk, and that's it. So that's kind of where the Tremper.com came from, is because I have the web page, and I was able to just start a little chat room, and so it's a lonely game, so we were able to chat back and forth, and we have our social hour and things like that. But needless to say, we all struggle, and even I do too, struggle with the psychological side of it and the emotional side of it when things aren't going your way. And actually that's where the discipline manager came from the very beginning, just for me, and because of my lack of issues. And so needless to say, that's I've come a long way, and it's gotten a lot better, but from time to time it still pops me. So anyway, that's how the indicators came to be. And then lately I've kind of been more into the algo part of it. The last couple of years probably been more into the algorithms and whatnot, and that's ultimately where this entry signals generator came from. So real quick, I'll talk about the disclaimer. I know they talked about it real quick, but I just got to go through it. I'll touch it real fast. Futures and options and whatnot have a potential, large potential risk, and don't I know that? Been there, done that. So as far as hypothetical and simulated performance, they do not meet eye to eye. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say for that. You could read all those, and I'm sure you've heard them on every lecture you've been to. So more importantly, it's the nuts and bolts, is what are the entry signals? Well, the entry signals it's a generator that is based on some internal logic And it's once the internal logic has met all the requirements to establish a valid, it's all about probabilities, and trading is nothing more than probabilities. And due to the nature of each individual market, each indicator needs their own sets of criteria based on the market. And even though a lot of things are similar, they're still a little different sizes. And I think everybody could agree that, you know, ES and NASDAQ definitely, you know, move differently. So currently we have the gold and GC, crude, NASDAQ, and ES. And what we came from is we just named them. Their names are derived from actually our pets. So, you know, you might hear me mention about, you know, the pets, or in social hours, sometimes we'll talk about the pets, or one specifically, we call them Leo. It's like anything, it's like a name, you know. So NASDAQ, Luna, or Ruby. So that's kind of where that came from. It makes it a little easier to kind of talk to. But so I'll just go into a couple of charts and show you what I have. And so this is the signal here. It generates the signal, and you could you could see how the internal logic will trail it down, and then it'll stop basically if it doesn't if it meets the criteria. And then the same thing over here, when things meet, go on the upside if things are going. And you could add all the moving averages. You don't need any moving averages at all. You don't need anything. I personally like some, and I think everybody has their own indicators. And some people use it as a confirmation. It might get in first, and then they kind of wait for their own independent indicators or strategy, whatever they're using, and they'll use it as a confirmation. And sometimes this will take it before it will, but it's nice to have the confirmation. Sometimes your own indicator or your own reading of charts will say, hey, I want to go long here, and then you get a confirmation, and you know what you do with it from that point is here nor there. And so anyway, you can see how it trails up and then ultimately gets out. And these are just you know, trade management is the key. So this in its basic is the generator, and that's what we're talking about as far as the logic. It generates the signals. And the most important thing to do is how are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle the management? Are you just going to scalp for a couple ticks? And there's some people that do that. And if you're going to go for the long one, so you really got to do your management, and you got to do your due diligence, and you really have to know your market that you're playing in, and you know, see the time of day, et cetera, and see what you can get out of it. And again, based on your own experience and other charts that you might be looking at, this is a great little tool for entries. But you know, where you take it is up to you. Now you notice here that there's no ATM strategy running, because in this scenario, it's using the internal logic. And so you could use either or. As far as this panel here and the way it works is that there is the split screen right here. And it'll show you the version number, and it'll show you the arrows, so it's a little easier to pull out the arrows when they go. There's also a sound that you could change it, of course, but there's a default sound, and you can even turn it off, etc., if you don't want those at all. But anyway, this is kind of what it looks like, and it's based on a range chart. This one, particularly for crude, is based on an 8 range chart. NASDAQ's chart is a little bigger, only because it's NASDAQ. And so another slide here, again, it's, you know, kind of similar. This one's actually in one, same thing, and you can see how it was trailing and then got out. I don't know if it's the same trade or not, but in any event, so this is just a couple slides. This here is the status box. This is not part of the entry signals generator. This is a tool that you could download for free on the web page. I like it. I mean, actually, it was you know, I got it obviously for me, but you could download it free. It's a nice little tool, gives you some information, especially with a lot of the prop firms and whatnot dealing with unrealized. So this happens to be my chart. I don't like the pane over here because I don't really want to see it. It just takes up too much space. So that's why I have, you know, I've got the status box up there. You can see in this case, you have the what version you're on. It's a little older version. It tells you, you know, if you're in sleep mode, it'll tell you if you're on an old version, you know, you need to do it. It'll tell you why it's not trading anymore. If you're wondering how come I'm not taking that trade, well, it's hit. You notice I don't have a panel on this screen, as I've turned it off because I like it all on the one panel and see everything. And again, I've got the main moving average is the mainstay. You don't have to have that on, but I would assume everybody has some kind of fibs or moving average on their screen. I can't imagine trading naked, although I know some people that said they do, but I prefer to have some, you know, window dressing on there. But the reason why I have this moving average on here is because everything's going to happen around the moving average here. You're not going to get trades way up here or down here. You're only going to get trades around the moving average because the logic is based inside here. And one of the mainstays is this moving average. So once you start getting in the area, that's when you could start thinking to yourself, okay, what do my other charts say? What am I looking to do, long or short? And then if it trips, then you've got your confirmation that it's set up internally, and then you could decide, you know, if you take it or not, or if you have it turned on, it'll take it, and then you manage it from there. Every time you do turn on the indicators, you know, when you go into indicator settings, every single time you turn it on or connect, it's always going to default to the paused mode. So you will have to manually put it in the active state. Level 1 and level 2s are gone. This is an older version. We took those off. They're internally in there, but they're just turned because they're always on anyway. So this is an indicator. It's not a strategy. You know, there's reasons for going with you know, strategies and reasons for going with indicators, but in this particular case, this is an indicator, and you just add it like any other indicator into your you know, box of tools there, and then you pull it up, and everything is set now for defaults, the way that you really don't have to do anything. There's a few things I'll go over into the settings, but all in all, the defaults are good enough. It's everything that really goes from this point forward is how you manage the trade. So the settings are pretty much locked in. They're internal. You don't have a lot of wiggle room with that. It's everything is going to be based on your trade management and what happens. And what you could also do, and I know some people do that, is they just put it on sim, and they could have a trigger on a sim, and they could hear it say, you know, order filled or something like that, and then they could look at their charts that way and see if it, you know, agrees with their philosophy and what they want to do with it and how they want to handle it. You can have it on the chart, or you can have it on its own separate chart. Either way, it doesn't matter. So before I move on to some of the settings, if anybody has any questions regarding, let me look here at the chat here. Very small portion of the screen is used for the slides. Not sure what that is. If you have Zoom, you should be able to manipulate the screen. What are we? Are you able to see what I'm seeing here? Oops. Can you guys see this? Chris, are you there? Is there everybody's being able to see my screen, right? I think. Yes. Okay. So I'll move on. So in any event, we have the settings. So the most probably important thing that we have is the AT interface, that the automated trade interface, that you will not have any trades trigger unless that is turned on. So that's probably first and foremost, that if you don't want any trades to turn on, you just want to plot it on the screen with the arrows, that's fine. Then you don't need to do it. But if you do want to do that, I'm getting somebody saying in here that you're still less than full screen. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but I've got a full screen here. So in any event, that's a must. So then the settings themselves, the required times, that is a requirement that's in here. We have it defaulted to go to, you know, 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock. You can change that, obviously. Same thing with the daily targets and the max loss. You can set those, and then it will stop trading. It'll still plot. You'll still plot the trades, but it just it just won't actually trigger any executions. So then it's saying in either direction. So this is what I was talking about as far as the long and short signals. If you want sound, you could turn those on, or you can put anything in there that you want as far as the sounds are concerned. This is the account. You have it'll default to sim, and then you obviously change it to playback, or if you're going to do it on another account, you have to change it there too. So this is the ATM strategy that we need to have in there, and those are defaulted into it when you pull them in and you install it. Now you could change those, and I'll talk a little bit about the ATM strategies themselves too, but this is basically where it gets its logic from. And so once you figure out what you want to do in here, then you can then it's going to run it. But it does have to be in here. If it doesn't have an ATM strategy in here, it won't work. Then you could decide if it's a market order or limit order. We do have NASDAQ set as a market only because it's so crazy. Number of contracts, etc. And down here it talks about your stop management. If you do not want to use the internal stop management, you would uncheck that, and then it would run solely on the ATM strategy that you have assigned to it. And then it runs off the moving average, and if you want that, obviously it's defaulted to on. And then the zigzag indicator, it's defaulted to on. Again, you could turn those off, but again, if you're using the stop management, you'd really want to put those on. So that would be the stop management portion of it. Further on down the screen, we just obviously there's if you want background colors that show the bias, and then the colors of such you could change. This happens to be crude, and then that's pretty much it. This one here is the panel, how you split the screens. As I said earlier in the pictures, somebody had theirs on, and they have it. I have mine set as the same as the input series. If you clicked on there and said panel 1 or panel 2 or a new, create a new panel or something like that, it will split that section up in your screens, and then you could make it bigger, or some people might have just like a ½ inch, or you could stretch it, make it as long as you want. But I don't like to see it at all, so that's why it's off, and it says the same as the input series. So that's about it for that one. Then next is stop losses. Now stop losses are a great tool to help mitigate your risk, and it's all about risk. And in the stop management that we internally have in there, it's really tight, and for a reason, because you got to protect the capital. And so if you are the type of trader that has a little bit more risk can tolerate a little bit more, then you can make it a little bigger, but you always got to manage your risk, and that's an individual thing with that. Nobody knows really the risk reward. Everybody talks about risk reward ratios and whatnot, and that's fine. We could certainly do the risk, but what's the reward? Nobody really knows what the reward is, because they don't know how far it's going to go. If you're only going to go, if you only have it set to take 10 ticks, let's say, well, then there's a reward. You could deal with your risk appropriately. But if you're looking for, where is the market going to go? Nobody knows that. If everybody knows that, we'd all be millionaires. So you really don't know what the reward is. You can go by averages and what you normally can get out of it, but every trade's different, so nobody really knows what that is. So you really got to fine tune the risk part of it, and that's what it's really all about. And that's why internally it's really tight. It'll tighten up quickly. If it goes right away, then fine. And if it comes back and pops it, well, then so be it, because it's better to get out early and then get back in if you had to. The old saying is I'd rather be out wishing I was in than in wishing I was out. So the question should be that is basically the probability of success. That's what we're trying to do here. So, and each market, again, it all depends on what you're doing. Each market has different characteristics, so it's your job to know which stop is needed. You certainly can't, take an ES stop and put it on a NASDAQ for risk, because it probably whip you around. So you don't really want to get in the habit of moving your stops and adjusting them. Sure, everybody does a little bit, a few ticks here and there, kind of adjust it here and there, but you don't want to just be, a little more, and then I'll add in or something like that. You just end up, taking too much pain. So the main thing is keep the capital. And so that's the whole purpose about these stop losses then. So you definitely want those. So, and there we go, with the account, the daily stop and the goals. It's account based. So right now I have all 4 will be running, and I don't really care which one gets there to the end. So if the account, not so much, it's not the indicator, meaning that if this indicator makes, let's say you set it for $500, if this indicator makes $500, then it'll stop, but the other ones will keep going. And that's not the case. They're all based on the same account. So whoever gets there first, then, that goes fine. Give them the gold star, and that's it. Right now, we're looking at it on an account basis. Now, if you're only running one, then I guess it, doesn't really matter. But it will all be, if you're running another strategy or something else on the same account, it won't take any more trades if your account, meets that criteria. So it looks at the account. So, and it is realized. So we have to kind of, there's a difference between unrealized and realized. I think everybody should know that by now, but it does have to calculate, and it needs the bar to calculate the change. And the same thing when you're turning on the indicator, it needs at least 1 bar to calculate before it could come up and turn on and say I'm ready to go. And so same thing is that you might have a profit target of $500, and it meets $500, and it gets to $600, and then it comes back down, and you get out at $550. Well, that's fine. It's realized at $550. Now it won't take any more thereafter. So that's enough said on that one there. Let's see, ATMs. So the ATMs are, the advanced trade management business that is a requirement. You do have to have those in order for the indicator to activate. And so one of the questions new people will get, I can't get to take any trades. Well, there's reasons, and you have to have an ATM, and that really pretty much is up to you. Everybody has their own risk management. I can't stress this enough. This is a signal generator, and that's what we call it, a generator, because it's got logic around the moving average area, and so when it gets there, that's when you want to start looking at it. But as far as how you manage the trade, totally up to you. So, these can vary, greatly. So some of the ones that we were playing with, and lately I've even tweaked them since then, because the market's just, they've gotten a little better, I do think, this month. But, a couple weeks ago, they just aren't behaving. They're just back forth in this whole whipsaw business. So you kind of get butchered up a little bit there, but again, that's everybody's business as far as the trade management part of it. But you can see basically you just have your quantities, and it's just your standard ATM strategy. We have 19, then your profit and whatnot, and that's pretty much about it. So see, then the same thing. And if you want to watch some videos, these are Ninja videos on there. They're how-to videos on the ATM, and then on the stop strategy. And if you want to see these, I could probably put the link in chat somewhere if anybody wants them. But if not, you can take a screenshot or something. Just actually type it in, I guess. But I'll see if I can put them in the chat if anybody's interested. See, moving forward. Okay, so I did create a troubleshooting page, because, and that's actually found, I'll show you where to get it. But anyway, this is it, because there's a lot of times, people they can't get something to work or whatever, and it's just something small. And so rather than, answering emails and whatnot all the time, I just kind of created this, and this helps out a little bit as far as, what it is. And as I said, one of the main things is that you have to enable the AT functionality there. So I'll show you where to get that here in a minute. Okay, so again, I'll just do a shameless plug on the Discipline Manager. The psychology and discipline rules, I can't stress enough about the risk and protecting the capital. Getting out too quickly, holding positions too long, skipping trades out of fear of loss, overtrading, all these. That's what started the Discipline Manager. And it can't help you with your psychology, but it will help you with your discipline, and that will lead to a healthier psychology. So enough said on that, but you can get tools on that, and this is one of a good tool to have, especially if you're having problems with over trading like I was. I mean, that's how it started. It was basically built for me, and then somebody said, hey, there's people who want it. So that's how it kind of came to be. But enough said on that. So we do have some upcoming webinars on that. Actually, Saturday I'll be doing one specifically on the Discipline Manager. So if you want to get a little bit more onto that, you could do that. So but more importantly, how do you download it? How do you check it out and you want to play with it? So what you would do is you would go to Tremper.com, and you're going to go to tools. There's a little path there, but just go to tools, and it's this one right here, entry signals. And the Discipline Manager is up there, and that status box I was talking about is right there, since we're here. And inside here, when you get inside here, you're going to get your download files. Now, I'm thinking about changing this and just to put them as a bundle, because they'll be all 4, and that way you don't have to do them individually. So that may change. We'll see where that goes. And if you use them, if you don't use them, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. You just don't turn them on, but you get the one you want. But at least that way it'll just be one download and that's it. But needless to say, you could just download these as is. They come down and they're all set up. And we totally recommend that you would do this in sim and market playback and play around with it for a while and get familiar with it and see how it works. The troubleshooting that I was talking about is right here in the center. That'll answer some of the questions that you might have. There's a little installation and settings video. I maybe just go a little bit more into depth of it. Might be actually a little old, so I should probably redo that again, but there's probably some things on there that you don't even need anymore. And then there's an old webinar if you want to see that. Let's see. Here are some indicator options that you could do. Some people like the ATR to kind of get a guide of where they might be going, based on the particular ATR that we're using right now. And then the target zones, another one is a nice one. You can all find those under the tools. Status box, as I mentioned. Oops, sorry, getting back. Did I mess things up there? Sorry about that. Hit the wheel. And then, so the indicators you could put on, Kelter channels, anything you want, Fibonacci's, whatever kind of indicator you want, you can add to it. Further on down the page, we have the version that we're currently running, and then it talks about the settings that I'm running, which I should actually change because I've changed them a little bit recently. And then there's, and this is what I talk about the enable the automation thing. So, but this right here will give you, and if you want to get updates, you would click on this ring. That way, anytime there's an update, you would, well, there's two things. One, you would get the email saying there's an update, but then also, there's going to be a sentence on the screen that'll say, hey, you're using the old version. You might want to go check it out, the new. So that'll show up on your screen. So in any event, let's move forward. So prices, the indicator they're separate because everybody has their own market that they trade. So GC and MGC, and obviously the micros are just kind of combined into one kind of thing, but GC, gold, and then, as I say, Bell, it's Luna, it's Ruby. Our Luna is over here, NASDAQ, and crude is Leo. So the initial price right now, we're not charging anything for the indicator. I can guarantee you that will change in the future, but right now it's absolutely free. The only thing that we had to do is add a little, small monthly maintenance fee because of the fact that it's just very time consuming. We get a lot of requests to do a lot of things. Matter of fact, the whole automation part of it came with, requests. We have the trade group that you could certainly, become a member of if you want it. It's free. It's just in Skype, and we talk about it and how to do things. And it just, basically traders. It's a traders group. That's all it is. Just we talk trading. As they say, it's kind of a lonely game. So, but right now you can just download it, start it for 7 days, and try it on market playback or sim, and we're available to help you out and get it, and to play with it. And if you do after that want to go ahead and subscribe to it, then you would click on one of the, like this one right here happens to be Leo. So you can click on one of these buttons right here, and it'll tell you, and it'll send you to a PayPal account. But again, right now it is nothing. It's only going to be the the maintenance fee. But I will guarantee you that's not going to be around forever. But right now we're constantly changing and taking wish lists and things like that, and tweaking to make it better, obviously. So that's why. So with today's special offer, what we're doing is we're going to offer the 30% off the regular price, and it's not the regular price of the indicator because you can't get less than zero, but we're talking about the the maintenance fee. We're just going to drop it down to $69 a month, which is 30% off. And if you do a bundle, which we have is it's a four for the price of three kind of situation, we brought it down to $198. And again, that's just for the the maintenance portion of it. And then the this offer will expire on September 30th. And how to get it is the same way. When you click on there, this is the path for these prices. Under referrals, I have a discount code page, and there's discount, and the link to that is in the discount code. And the referrals, I have a lot of these prop firms that have been popping up over the last year or so. And so I just have a list and a list and a list of them, and they're always giving discount codes out. So I've created a page specifically for discount codes, and inside there you'll get this link, or you can just type it in manually right there. But this will give you the links for the special offer that we're promoting. And once you do go into your PayPal account, you only want to do it after your 7 days, because it's a 7-day free trial, but you've already had your 7 days. So this is going to start right away. So you don't need to do this just to try it out. So go ahead and play with it. And it's only when you are ready to go, then you would go ahead and do this, because this starts, immediately. So in order for continued use, the contact form, I would need to have that filled out, because I need your machine ID and everything. And so that's kind of simple. And if you want to join the Skype group, you would go there too, because we need Skype address, obviously, if you want to join there and chit chat. So everything's kind of takes place around there. So other than that, it's pretty much all I've got. I'm going to run through some chats here. If anybody has any questions, there's the Skype. If you want to, introduce yourself on Skype, and we could, connect, and I could move you into the traders group. The phone number, if anybody uses those anymore. And then obviously the contact page that I talked about. So let me run through some questions here. Your profit count on E-mini, how about micros? And it's kind of hard to say again, because we don't have the data. We haven't, this is new. We don't have the statistical data other than, just the market replay for a little while to really give those numbers. And then the other question is your profit and risk tolerance might not be the same as mine. And obviously, if you're asking about E-minis or micros, then obviously they're different. And then the other question here, it says, don't overtrade. I mean, that's pretty much there you go with that one. So I can't tell you, I've been there. When I first started trading futures, I mean, I was in the hundreds of trades. It's nuts. Anyway, so the trial period it is for 7 days. And then actually you could start that anytime. But this discount that we're offering will expire on the 30th. So that will give you enough time to play with it, but you could do that anytime. Do they work for Forex or stocks? I've never tried it. I do have a Forex.com account, and I do have the ability to run stocks in Ninja because this only works on Ninja. If you have the capability of doing that, it's never been tried, but it should. I mean, an indicator is an indicator. So as long as you have the data available in your Ninja, platform, then this indicator should work. And, again, I'll go back to that risk disclaimer that talks about, the risk tolerance. So do it accordingly. Does this indicator assume trading stops or close? Doesn't assume trading stops at close of market? No, it doesn't tell time. It just, this is an indicator. So you're going to have to, you could set your time not to go on at, obviously you want it to close before the market closes. So you could say, don't take any new orders. But if you are in a trade, then it will stay on until you turn it off because it won't close it for you automatically. It does not give a 7-day trial, but it's for 1 day. Okay, so you're referring to the PayPal. You're right. You don't need to go into PayPal. So if you're going to try a 7-day trial, just download the file and play with it. And you don't have to do anything. Don't even go to PayPal. It's when you go to PayPal and you want to continue it, that will trigger it right away. And actually, one of the slides I showed, if you go in there to get that link under the subscriptions, and you say, it'll say right there, do not, play with it for 7 days first, because once you start PayPal will trigger it in a day. So it's assumed that you've already played with it for a while. And again, today it's the 30th. It won't expire till the 30th. So that'll be around till the 30th. So you have, time to go ahead and play with it. And so, yeah, I would not start the PayPal just yet. And it's, is it $99 per indicator? Yes, the maintenance fee. The indicator itself, as I say, it doesn't cost anything right now, but we are charging it only because of I can't tell you the amount of time and expense that has been put into this. So yes, it is. And most people, and the bundle, and that's why we gave it for the bundle, just so we can kind of, diversify a little bit. But a lot of people, I've come to find out, don't trade all markets. They're really kind of focusing in on a few. So to answer your question on that one, are you going to send out the recording? Ninja is recording this. They said that I asked the same question earlier. They're going to send it to me as soon as they proof it and edit it or do whatever they do with it, and then it'll be available. And you should be able to get a link or an email on that too. So that way you could just when it's available, you'll just get an email and you can click on it. Can you put the link on the chat? Oh, is that the links for the ATMs? Yes, I will do that. Do you have statistics and logs on the results of each indicator? As I mentioned earlier before, no, I don't have statistics because of the fact that, well, one, it's still relatively new, but I'm really not a scalper, so I don't take 4 or 5 ticks. So I don't have any of that information. So again, that's the whole purpose of it doesn't cost anything, and it's a free trial and all that, and you can check it out and play with it. And I recommend do it in a market replay. If you're not versed in market replay, jump in the social hour that we have. You can go to the community tab and jump in our social hour. That's just the Zoom link, and we just chit chat. I don't know if anybody's in there right now, actually, but we'll see. And can you show the ES from today? I don't have, these are all slides. I don't even have ES on a slide today. I think the one, I don't even know what I was showing, to be honest with you. I think it was crude I was showing earlier in the slide. Will there be a replay? A replay of this? Yes, I'm thinking you're referring to a link to the recording. So 7-day trial, 7-day calendar, 7-day calendar. Yes, it's 7 calendar days. The whole theory is well, one, PayPal doesn't tell time, so it doesn't know what a trading day is. It's kind of dumb at that aspect, but it's basically 7 calendar days, because we're assuming that you're doing this on the weekends. You're not trading live. You're doing this on the weekends, market replay or whatever. You could certainly put it on, on live data during the day when you're running. I'd recommend putting it on sim, make sure everything is working the way you want and doing what you want it to do. But you really should play after hours first with replay. Can we auto trade with the indicator? Yes, you can. It does have the ability. If you want that on, of course, you have to turn that little enable that switch that I talked about earlier. But yes, you can. I'm watching my time here. So if I try for 4x, which one of the pets should I try? I have absolutely no clue as far as 4x. I don't. I got out of that many 10 years ago, and I really haven't touched it at all. So I haven't even attempted to put this on, take it, flip a coin. That's all I can say on that. Are you able to show charts for today? No, I don't have, these charts were all, this presentation was made and had to get pre-approved and everything. So it's kind of old. Works with NinjaTrader. Yes, I do like NinjaTrader. That's my mainstay. And yes, it does work on NinjaTrader. But again, everything's based on your settings and how your risk and everything's based on your ATM. So how you work it is going to be on there, and that might be a little difference. But again, you have to play with it. We're around to help by all means. If you have questions or whatever, we're here to experiment. But we have not basically it's meant for the range bars. I missed the entire webinar. Okay, yes, we'll be doing it again. I've done them a couple times. You could go to webinars. So you can go to the web page and there's a webinar link. And then you can just sign up for future webinars, and you can get on a mailing list that way too. So if you just go to the home page, wait a few seconds, there'll be a pop-up that says a webinar, and there you go. Yes, did you program, or did you have somebody programmed it? I'm not a programmer. Gosh, I can only do so much. I presume you will need a VPS. No, I don't. I've never had a VPS. VPS is the the virtual server. I suppose if you want faster speed, but I got a gig and I've never had a problem. I mean, I'm waiting for fiber optics, but it's not available in my area yet. But so to answer your question, I do know somebody who has VPS and that does do it, but it's not required. Now, if you're dealing with a a modem that dials up, you might want to consider a VPS, but especially if you're trading, regardless of what indicator you use. When do you exit your trades if you're not 5/8 scalping ticks? If you're not 5/8 ticks. When do I exit? It all depends on the higher time frames. I look at higher time frames, and I'm, sometimes if it's kind of in the middle, or if it's exceeding, then you're not going to go as much. If I'm getting in at where I think is going to be the edge or the bottom or the top, whichever it might be, then I'm going for gusto. So that will all depend again on higher time frame charts. So I can't really help you on that one. But again, you could put it on, and if it takes the trade, you could decide if you want. You could pause it too. You could just hit pause, and it'll just keep running and showing a signal. It just won't activate a trade, or you don't even have to have that on at all, and just leave it strictly as just giving you a sound and plotting on the screen an arrow. And then what you do at that point is totally up to you. If it concurs with your trading, then go for it. And if it doesn't, if you don't like it, don't do anything. Just let it go. But that's okay. I think I've covered all that, and I think I'm on time. Chris, how am I doing?
Yep, we're nearing the end of our time limit today, Steve.
All right. Well, I think I covered the questions, and I think I got basically an introduction on what it is. And if anybody has any other questions, by all means, reach out. We could do private things. That's the whole purpose of the social hour we do in there. We could share screens and help each other. And it's not just limited to this indicator. I mean, social hour has been around for a couple of years now. We talk trading. It's just a BS. It's just a BS session. So about trading, of course. So other than that, that's all I got, Chris. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks again, Steve, for taking the time to share with us today. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope you'll join us for future webinars. We would like to remind you that the information in this was out of Tremper.com and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you in future webinars. And happy trading from all of us at the NinjaTrader ecosystem.
Thanks, Chris.